Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show. We show you how to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and it's time for another edition of Warhammer the Golden Age. This is battle report number 22. This is a 2,000 point battle between myself of Commander CheapSkate with my Golden Reavers of Skyros, my 2,000 points of Dark Elves, versus my buddy O'Death of the Esoteric Order of the Thousand Suns with his Chaos Warriors of Sneech. So yeah, we're going to see what happens in 2,000 points of Dark Elves. We're all up against 2,000 points of Chaos Warriors, and I gotta tell you, it's a brutal one. So let's go to the army list real quick. Let's get this battle report on the roll. Alright, so let's talk about the Golden Reavers of Skyros. This is my 2,000 point Dark Elf army. For my Lord Hero choices, we have Bisilo Rakarth of Karankar and his Manticore Kalibos. He's a high beast master with a Sword of Might, Cloak of Twilight, and his Manticore has a Blind Rage and Ironheart skin upgrades. Next comes Sister Sinner, the Oracle of Kosh. She's a Supreme Swords level 4 upgrade. She's equipped with the Sacrificial Dagon Talisman of Endurance, and she's packing the lore of Dark Magic for this one. And for my last hero choice, we have Captain Lodi Dagkir, the Golden Sun. He is a master with a Battle Center Bear upgrade. He's equipped with a halberd, heavy armor, sea dragon cloak, shield, as well as the crown of command. Now for my core choices, we have the Sea Stone Staros, which are 38 dread spears with full command and standard discipline, as well as the Morning Dawn, which are 10 dark shards with full command and also equipped with shields. For my special choices, we have the Storms of Skyros, which are 2 Reaper bolt throwers, and Virazil the Broken, who's a War Hydra equipped with a Fiery Breath upgrade. And then for my rare choices, we have 2 of them. We have the Shacklemore Seers, my 5 Doomfire Warlocks, and the Master of Warlocks upgrade, and Rathric the Maw, who is my Charybdis. So this is my 2,000 point Monster Masher list. Let's go and talk about my opponent real quick. Alright, so let's talk about O'Death's, the Esoteric Order of the Thousand Suns. It is a 2,000 point Chaos Warriors of Sneech army. For his Lord Hero choices, he has Egrin Van Horseman and Baldras. He is a Chaos Lord of Sneech with a Mark of Sneech. He's equipped with the Armor of Destiny, Dawnstar, the Other Trickster Shard, Poisonous Slime, Scale Skin, the Third Eye of Sneech, Chaos Dragon, as well as a Great Weapon. And his last character choice is Kaivan, the weakest. He is a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Sneech, Mark of Sneech with a level 4 upgrade. He's got the Chaos Familiar as well as a Lore of Sneech on this one. For his core choices, he has a Stormlord, which are 19 Chaos Warriors of Sneech with full command, Marks of Sneech with shields as well as halberds, as well as a Science on Self, which are 2 Chaos Chariots of Sneech with Marks of Sneech. For his special choices, he's got 2 of them. The first one is the Second Sons, which are 5 Chaos Knights of Sneech with full command, Marks of Sneech, and they're packing lances. And the very last one is the Gestalt of Power, which is a Gore Beast Chariot of Sneech equipped with a Mark of Sneech. So a complete 2,000 points Sneechian army. So let's see what happens with this on the battle report. Alright, now it's time to deploy. As you can see, we're fighting on a 4x6 table with 2,000 point armies. As you can see, they were kind of lining across from each other. I'm kind of on the near side board. My priority O'Death's on the far side of the board. As you can see there on my right hand, on the bottom right hand corner, I kind of went with a denied flank to kind of castle up a little bit in that far right hand corner. He's a Chaos Warrior army. He has to come to me. I don't have to go to him. So basically, my idea is just have him come towards my main body. I'll flank him with my monsters there on the right hand side, as well as my Doomfire Warlocks on the left hand side. They'll pull some like fast cast shenanigans, casting spells, and kind of basically hexing my opponents. That way I can weaken up and then shooting the pieces with my bolt throwers as well as my crossbowmen. So yeah, that pretty much makes up around deploying my army, and my opponents are ready to cross me. Let's go down to the individual deployment zones. Alright, here's a close-up of my right flank. As you can see there, starting from the left all the way to the right. To the left and the front, we have my Sea Stone Sorrows, which are my huge block of 38 Dread Spears with my Sorcerer Supreme as Sister Sinner, as well as Captain Lodi Dagkir. They're also looking in that unit as well. Behind them, we have the Storms of Kos, which are my 2 Storms of Skyros, rather, which are my 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers. From to the front, we got my the Morning Dawn, which is my 10 Dark Shards. Right behind them, we also have Rathric the Maw, as well as not Kalibos, sorry, Virazil the Broken, which is the right hand side there. So my Charybdis, as well as my War Hydra. They're kind of base code right now, blue and purple, because I'm planning on painting those guys a little bit later. And then right behind them, we have Rakarth Dagkir of Karankar with Kalibos, which is Manticore there, being up that right hand side. So the idea is I kind of fix my opponent in the front with my Spearmen and Crossbowmen, as well as my Bolt Throwers, and then flank with my monsters. So that makes deployment here on the right hand flank. And making my very far left-hand flank and vanguarding up to the middle of the board. Those are my Shacklemore Seers, my 5 Doomfire Warlocks. And basically, like I said before, they're here on the flank just to kind of cast hexes as well as Doombolt upon either my opponent's general or on those knights, and basically just kind of playing Mary Hob on the left-hand side there with using light cavalry shenanigans and kind of getting to commit to charges and move things out of position so that way I can kind of time up the entire time. So yeah, that's what's going on here on the left-hand flank. So that makes my deployment. Let's go and talk about my buddy Odeth's deployment area. All right, so this is the center deployment from my buddy Odeth. As you can see there in the very back there behind that autumn-colored forest is Ugran Van Horstman, which is his Chaos Lord of Tzeentch, on Bowdrus, which is his Chaos Dragon. This is massively huge model. He's got located right behind that autumn forest. Looks pretty cool right there as well. And in front of his general, he has his second son, which is 5 Chaos Knights of Tzeentch as well. And then right there on the right-hand side, that huge block of 20 Chaos Warriors. Those are the Storm Lords, the Tzeentch Warriors with halberd and shield, and also located in that same unit too is his wizard Kyle von the Weakest as well. That's his level 4 wizard, who's also level 5 because he gets an additional spell because of his chaos familiar. So that makes up his center portion there. And on the right-hand flank, as you can see there, he has all 3 of his chariots located there as well. On either side of right there in the center, that center chariot, that is the Gestalt of Power. That's his Gore-Beast chariot of Tzeentch. And on either side of him, on either side, are his 2 regular Chaos chariots of Tzeentch. Those are the Scions of Sylph, as well. Those guys located at as well. So that pretty much makes up his deployment on the right-hand flank. So with deployment over, let's go directly to the top of turn number 1. Alright, this is the top of turn number 1 after movement phase. As you can see here, I don't really do much movement at all for my army. All I really do is just kind of move up my Dark Shards, they're not my Dark Shards, my Seastone Sorrows or my Dread Spears, as well as my Dark Shards, kind of move up a couple inches forward so that way they get away from the base of the hill. That way they can get a good field of fire with my Dark Shards, and at the same time set up a blocking position with my Dread Spears between the forest and that pond there that's located on the right hand side. I also move up my monsters. I kind of just move up their full 6 inches on either side of that pond as well, and I basically fly Rakartheg here, as well as his Monicore over the other side on the right hand side there of Veers of the Broken, so that way they can kind of swoop into the right hand side. My plan here is basically to fix his enemy to come marching towards me, flick with my monsters to the right hand side as well. And if you can see there on the left hand side, I got my Shacklemore Seers set to do some magic shenanigans with their stuff, so that pretty much makes it move on this side. In the magic phase, I had a pretty powerful magic phase during that time. I basically got power, strength of darkness off, gave my dread spirits +1 strength as well. I also got word of pain off on top of that Gestalt of Power, which is that Gore-Beast chariot. Basically got the big one off, got -2 to its ballistic skills, weapon skill, as well as its initiative, as well as its strength, I believe, is the one I also got from that one as well. At the same time, my Doomfire Warlocks got off the big version of Life Leech, which basically gave -1 to strength and toughness to both the Storm Lords, the Chaos Knights, as well as their general as well, to make those guys a little bit leaker, so that way I can shoot those guys up with long range firepower. So yeah, that pretty much makes magic phase on this one. Shooting phase is pretty lackluster for me. Unfortunately, I did not move up my Dark Shards close enough in order to open fire onto those Chaos Warriors, so I had a miss attempt on that part, which is kind of set on that. I didn't really get a chance to shoot those guys. However, I did open up with my 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers, my Storms of Skyros. Both of them fought single bolts at my opponent's general. Unfortunately, only one of those shots made it and inflicted 2 wounds on that guy. So that part was kind of cool. I looked at the 2 wounds right off the bat onto that Chaos Lord. So check one off for the good guys on that part. Basically went to his dragon. I was trying to go for the Lord, but unfortunately the dragon was the one I rolled up on when I rolled for my randomization of shots. So 2 points wounds off a dragon, I'll take it. So with no combat phase, you go directly to the bottom of turn 1 for the Chaos Warriors. This photo is taken directly after the movement phase. You can see a lot of movements taking place there with the opponent there. As you can see there, Odeth had to basically move up his Chaos Knights and kind of wheel them in order to face my Shacklemore Seers, because they're out of their charge arc or their arc of view. So once again, my guys are kind of delaying and tying up those Knights there, as you can see there. My opponent also marched his general and flew him over the forest into the center forest as well. So that would get him to a nice little location for him to open up onto those my Dread Spears here in a little bit. Everything else, he pretty much marches forward. His Stormlords and his Wizard march forward up to the center of the portion there, and he moves up his chariots there to get ready to set up for some charging positions on the right hand side. So yeah, keys with Chaos Warrior. He's just going to move as quickly as he can. So yeah, that makes a move for this side of the board. Here's a close-up of his Chaos Knights kind of wheeling and kind of facing off my Shacklemore Seers in order to set themselves up for a charge. My opponent wants to get rid of those Shacklemore Seers because I put some damage on those guys with my Hex spells, but unfortunately for my opponent, he doesn't realize that next round I'm going to march those guys right out of that field and basically get into a position to where he can't really come after me anymore. So yeah, light cavalry shenanigans are working pretty good on these guys. And here's a close of my enemy's army kind of moving into position to get ready to charge. So as you can see there, we have the Stormlords there in the center, kind of occupying the side of the woods there. We got all three of his chariots, the Signs of Self, as well as the Gestalt of Power, getting themselves set up to charge into my monsters or into my archers, wherever direction he's going with that part. As you can see there, he also sets up his General Eager Van Horseman and Bowdress right into the middle of the forest. That way they can set themselves up for a charge into my main body on their next turn. So with moving out of the way, we go directly to the magic phase for the Warriors of Chaos. Magic phase for the Warriors of Chaos is astronomical. He rolled a perfect 12 on that part, so he basically just dominated the magic phase for that battle. So it's pretty rough for me as that one. As you can see, there he puts the trade to treason of Tzeentchian, I believe is what it's called. Basically, put no inspiring presence as well as no hold your ground rules for my dread spears. He also hit him with I think with the firestorm of Tzeentch as well. Managed to plink off about 7 of my guys in the process of doing that with that massively huge fire explosion. I also lost 2 more guys too because of the warp fire rules as well, because I failed my toughness check. So that was very, very devastating portion taking place right there in the center of the board for my Dread Spears. Rough stuff. Over here on the right hand side, he got the Infernal Gateway spell off onto Rakartheg here, as well as Kalibos as well, and that one was really, really rough as well. Technically speaking, my general should have died as well as Mana Core, but luckily for me though, I had the Cloak of Twilight, so because of that, most of the wounds were basically saved with his 3-up ward against being shot at from with magic missiles and magical stuffs at that point, so that was really lucky on that part. Unfortunately, put 2 wounds onto my general, also put 2 wounds on Kalibos as well, so that looking pretty rough there, so those guys are already pretty wounded down on that part. So kind of sad about that, but it could have been a lot worse. He could have just sent my guy straight to hell on that part. Luckily for me though, I did pass my toughness test for both my characters, so now they also have a 6 of regen, which is also kind of cool as well. So yeah, that just happened. Since Chaos Warriors don't shoot and there is no close combat, go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Dark Elves is taken after the movement phase. As you can see here, basically I start charging in some of my guys, also do some more movement shenanigans here on the left-hand flank as well. First off, my Shacklemore Seers are march them out of the field and get them into like a flank position there against my opponent's general, so that way they can cast more spells. As general probably weaken him down as well. On the right-hand side, however, my right flank, I had basically a series of failed charges. I tried to charge all my monsters. Fortunately for me, they did not manage to get into close combat with my opponents at all. So Veers of the Broken as well as Wrath of the Maw are still stuck on the other side of that pond. However, my general, Rakarth of Karankar as well as Kalibos did manage to charge one of the Signs of Self on the very far right hand side. So that part's kind of nice as well. As you can see with the rest of my infantry units, both my Seastone Starros and my Morning Dawn, I just moved them up a little bit closer so that way they can get closer to my opponents. So that way I can start shooting at them. So that makes it move on this side of the board. Here's a close-up of my Shacklemore Seers there on the right-hand side of the general, getting out of the charge arcs of both his general as well as his Chaos Knights in order to do some more movement shenanigans and to keep those Knights out of turn, which is pretty valuable because right now my Shacklemore Seers are doing an excellent job of just kind of like messing around with those Chaos Knights and keeping them out of play. So kudos to my guys on that part. So yeah, this is going here on the left-hand flank. And here's the close of my monsters, kind of charging up forward and failing their charges, and then leaving my general all by himself to take care of that chariot by himself. So that was kind of rough. I was kind of hoping to charge into those chariots, destroy those chariots, overrun into that unit of Chaos Warriors, and try to take those guys out. But it looks like my plan is not going to work on this part. So yeah, failed charges are bound on the right-hand flank. All right, in the magic phase, I also get that Soul Blight spell off again on my opponent's general. Matters 1 to his strength as well as his toughness, so that way that guy has no ability, but it makes him a little bit weaker for me to start shooting at him on that part. So that part was pretty nice on this magic phase. And I also get the Power of Darkness spell off onto my Dread Spears as well, giving them +1 strength and also adding 2 more magic dice to my magic pool. And with those 2 additional dice to my magic pool, I decided to spend it on casting Arinzapal's Black Horror. I cast a small one because the small one's good enough for me. I don't need to worry about doing the massively huge one and basically send it right down the middle of the line. I started with his general, went across his general to his Chaos Warriors, all the way down to his chariots down the line. So that spell was pretty awesome. However, when it comes to strength tests, the Chaos Warriors have that basically in spades. So unfortunately for me, my opponent's general passes strength test. Same thing with the Dragon, also passes strength test as well. When with the Chaos Warriors, I managed to kill 4 of the Stormlords in the process of doing this. So the part was kind of cool. However, his Scorpius chariot as well as his other Chaos chariot with the Sign of Self, they passed their strength test, and that's pretty much all that really happened on that part. So not as incredible as I was hoping for, but you know what? I'll take it. 4 more dead Chaos Warriors is always good because Chaos Warriors, when they get in close combat with you, they are exceptionally deadly. In the shooting phase, I concentrated fire with my two bolt throws. My Reaper bolt throws both opened up onto my opponent's general. Both the shots, however, managed to land on the dragon. So, and I also managed to kill that dragon as well because of no armor save. So that part was kind of cool. So now my opponent's general is now walking around on the ground without any support whatsoever. So now he's stuck right there in the middle of the forest with no dragons. He's still perfectly fine because of all the crazy saves that guy has. That guy has like a one-up armor save, three-up ward save. So this guy's gonna be almost impossible to kill, unfortunately. But luckily for me, though, I killed his dragons, so one less problem to worry about, as far as I'm concerned. So that part was kind of cool. And my dark shards open up into that Warriors of Chaos unit. Unfortunately for me, though, I only managed to kill one of those guys. There's enough to cause a panic check, but basically they pass it because they have the Inspiring Presence rule from their general, even though his dragon got killed. So, yeah, one less Chaos Warrior to worry about. In the combat phase, Rakarth of Karan Kar, as well as my Manticore Calibos, just curb stomped that chariot like it was nobody's business. Managed to just obliterate it in the first round of combat, which is pretty awesome as well. Causing an overrun, I basically overran past him directly into the Gestalt of Power, which is my opponent's Scorpius Chariot. So I'm looking forward to causing the curb stomp on that guy as well, because that chariot didn't stand a chance whatsoever. I'm planning on putting this Scorpius Chariot down for the count. So yeah, that makes it the combat phase on this part, and since there's no other combats, we go directly to the bottom, turn number 2 for the Warriors of Chaos. All right, so this is the bottom of turn number 2 after movement for the Chaos Warriors. You can see a little bit of movement took place for my opponent. Starting from the left-hand side, he wheels his Chaos Knights in order to get into a charge arc within my Doomfire Warlocks and kind of set them up for a charge as well. So that part is looking pretty devastating there as well. His Warriors of Chaos unit, however, did not move, and the reason why is because he marched his general through the forest to join up with the Warriors of Chaos unit now. So now my opponent's general is now located within that unit as well. So I gotta crack that guy and try to take them out as well. The most surprising part, however, is that he managed to get a long bomb charge off with his chariot, with his one of his Scions self and charge directly into my dark shards, my Morning Dawn, and that's kind of rough too because those guys get D6 plus 1 impact hits, and it's a chariot, high toughness. Dark elves are not necessarily known for their toughness, and it's also kind of weak, only 10 mana on that part, so that part's kind of brutal on that. So yeah, that makes it moving there on this side of the board. In the magic phase, my opponent managed to get Firestorm and Sneak off onto my Doomfire Warlocks, basically direct hit on that part. So three of them took hits. However, only one of them died because of the ward saves that we have as well. So that part was kind of nice. I had to take a panic check because I lost one of my Doomfire Warlocks, but they passed with no problem whatsoever. So that part was kind of nice. I mean, Doomfire Warlocks are just the illest. Light Cavalry with 4 wards and poisons attacks and can cast spells. You just can't get any better chaff than this, and it's pretty awesome as far as I'm concerned. My opponent's General Kavan the Weakness also managed to cast off Bolt of Change onto my Charybdis, Rathric the Maw. He managed to get like a strength 10 on that hit as well, so that was kind of rough. Managed to put 2 wounds onto my Charybdis, and that part's kind of sad. But you know what? My opponent's playing smart, going after my own monsters, trying to weaken them down because he knows that's where all my strength is located at. So can't blame the guy for trying to win. With magic over, and since the Chaos Warriors now go to shooting, we go directly to the combat phase, and this combat phase is disastrous for me in this one. I only managed to inflict 1 wound onto that Gore Beast chariot with all the attacks I was unleashing. I forgot that Gore Beast chariots have a toughness of 6, and my guys are striking at strength 5, so I had to roll 5 or higher in order to wound this guy, so that part was pretty rough. And the counterattack, he managed to kill my generals, so my General Rakarth of Karan Kar, my High Beastmaster, is now dead, and the only thing that's left now is my Mana Core. They also managed to put additional wound on top of my Mana Core as well, so my Mana Core is now also carrying 3 wounds as well. Luckily for me, however, my Mana Core does get the Raw ability, which gives him hatred as well as frenzy. From this point on, he has to charge near his enemy unit, but at the same time, though, I lost my general, which is very, very devastating for me, so that part was kind of rough. So that makes a comment on this side. And since there's no other comment now for that, we go directly to the back of the combat phase with the chariot against my Dark Shards now. And the combat for my Dark Shards went extremely poorly as well. It was absolutely disastrous in that combat. They managed to kill 7 of my Dark Shards right off the bat when they hit him with impact hits. He got rolled 7 impact hits. 7 of them killed my guys. Only had 3 guys left over after the impact hits. My 3 attacks managed did put one wound onto that chariot, so that part was kind of nice. But the rest of the crew, as well as the Hordes, finished off the rest of those Dark Shards. They didn't stand a chance whatsoever. Because they destroyed in the first round of combat, he overran through those guys up the hill directly into one of one of my bolt throwers. So that part was kind of rough as well. So that bolt thrower crew, between you and me, I know that Volkor through is now dead. So that was kind of rough. And with combat over, go directly to the top of turn number 3 after movement for the Dark Elves. As you can see in this picture, I did a lot of movement going on. As you can see on the left-hand side, I marched my Doomfire Warlocks away from those Chaos Knights, come on the left-hand side of my army so that way they can start lending some support to deal with that Chaos Chariot, because that thing's going to go tearing right through my War Machines if I don't watch it here in a little bit. As you can see here on the right-hand side, my other two monsters, they finally achieved their charges. I sent Virzo the Broken charging to that Gorbeast Chariot, because that Gorbeast Chariot is going to be one tough nut to crack, and the Gestalt of Power needs to die for killing my general. As you can see on the left-hand side there, I kind of send Wrathwick them on a suicide charge, slamming directly into that unit of Chaos Warriors, the Stormlords, and try to take those guys out as well. So yeah, that pretty much makes a move for this side of the board. Here's a close of my Doomfire Warlocks coming attacking here on the right-hand side as well. I'm still not gonna, I kind of also made a mistake on this part as well. What I should have done was turn my Spearmen around so that way they can kind of charge into the rear of that chariot. However, I was afraid that for some other rear reason that my opponent would be able to bust through my monsters and try to charge my front ranks. So I want to keep those guys located there. Also there on the left-hand side, you can see my Doomfire Warlocks also there to help kind of lend magical support against that Chaos Chariot and try to take it down in some way. So that makes a movement here on the center portion of my lines. And here's a close of my monsters charging in directly into my opponent. So you can see there I got Virazil the Broken charging to that Gestalt of Power to take down that Gorbeast Chariot. On the left hand side I got Wrathwick the Maul taking on that unit of Chaos Warriors as well. It might be suicide for me to send that Charybdis charging into that unit of Chaos Warriors, but I gotta time up somehow because my stuff's getting destroyed right now, so that's kind of rough on that part. In the magic phase, I cast off our Power of Darkness in order to help boost up my Spearmen in case they get engaged in close combat from either the Chariot or from those Chaos Warriors. So those guys got +1 strength as well. Also got 2 power dice out of the mix, which is also kind of nice as well, which is really helping me out because I think I only have like 3 or 4 magic dice in this magic pool, so I need all the help I could get on that part. So that part was kind of nice. And at the same time, Magic cast off Soul Blight with my Doomfire Warlocks on that unit of Chaos Warriors. Drop them -1 strength as well as -1 toughness as well as that entire unit. Kind of give Wrathwick a little bit more of a fighting chance to basically cause some wounds on that part. So that's what I'm kind of looking for there on that part as well. I also managed to cast off one of my spells. I think it was not Doombolt. It was a direct damage spell. I forgot which one it was, but I managed to kill off 2 of those guys. The process of doing that, I killed 2 more Chaos Warriors as the process went on with that word. Oh, it was a Rinzapal's Black Horde. That's what it was. I managed to get that spell off again. Only killed 2 more of the Chaos Warriors, and the Gorbeast Chariot basically missed when it went right through it. So I know, pretty lucky in that part. I'll take what I can get. In the shooting phase, I open up with both of my with one of my Reaper Bolter that's not being engaged in close combat. It opens up with multiple shots and manages to kill the Green Knight in that unit of Chaos Knights. That Green Knight must have been the popular guy because once that guy died, that tried to cause a force of panic test. They failed their panic test because they don't get rerolls because they don't have a battle center bear in this army. Those guys turn around and they started fleeing towards the back of the board, which I thought was kind of funny as well. So I've been outmaneuvering those guys all game so far, which is kind of nice. And now I'm causing a panic and run, putting them out for that opposition. That's just amazing to me. That way I can keep those guys out of play because Chaos Knights are scary, and I don't want those guys anywhere near my army. So that part was kind of neat. In the combat phase is very, very brutal. I managed to curb stomp that Gorbeast Chariot. I didn't really get the chance to really, well, hold on, let me take that back. Really didn't so much curb stomp it as I just beat it with combat res. He's got charged by 2 different guys as well. Basically, he failed his break test and he had to flee. As he flee, I pursued with my Manticore, overran him, and basically kind of tucked him to where he is right now, or that location where he's located at, which is kind of nice because now I combat reformed and help him kind of charge in that flank of that Warriors of Chaos unit. Virazil the Broken also did a combat reform to kind of face that unit as well. Combat between Wrathwick the Maul and this Chaos Warrior unit was kind of interesting. I managed to kill 3 more Chaos Warriors and the process, but Wrathwick the Maul just kind of, I just flooded poorly for all of his attack. Couldn't get in my poison attacks off. My stomps are very, very weak on that part as well. That Chaos Lord just carb stomped and killed my Charybdis as well, so that part was kind of rough. And then they kind of combat reformed to deal with my monsters, so that was kind of rough. So that's combat on this side of the board. And over here in the back end of the board, that Chaos Chair had no problem destroying that, destroying that bolt thrower like it was nobody's business. Basically, did a quick combat reform and turn around to kind of face the back end. And this is where I realized I made a mistake. That I should have turned my Spearman around to kind of deal with that chariot when it comes charging to my back rank. But there's nothing I can do about it now. That thing's gonna be coming flying towards me, and I have no choice but to kind of just take whatever damage that thing does to me as well. So that part was kind of rough. So yeah, huge error on that part. Just bad ideas all around. And that takes us to the bottom of turn number 3 for the Chaos Warriors in this one. This is after movement. As you can see here, not much movement really took place. Really, well, there's a little bit of movement, not as much of dynamic as you can imagine. Starting from the back there, as you can see there in the foreground there, the chariot charged right to the back of my CSO Staros, so I have to deal with that guy charging me over here now, so that part's kind of rough. Over there on the right-hand side as well, he charges Chaos Warriors with his Lord in there directly into Virzil the Broken, so now he's got to deal with that close combat taking place on the center of the board. Also in the very far left-hand corner, he did manage to rally his Chaos Knights, so those guys turn around and basically getting ready to move forward as well. But luckily for me, though, they're so far away from the action, there's not really much they can do right off the bat, so kind of fortunate that way. So that makes a move for this side of the board. Here's a close-up of my Dread Spears being charged in the rear by that Chaos Chariot, and I just realized now that I made a huge mistake, a huge tactical error, and I should turn these guys around to face it here in a little bit, but, you gotta do what you gotta do on this part, so that was kind of rough. And here's a close-up of the Stormlords with their Chaos Lord charging directly into the front of Virzil the Broken. And that combat is going to be kind of interesting. I got to see how well my War Hydra can deal with these many Chaos Warriors on his own. So yeah, that pretty much makes a move on this way. With moving over, we go directly to the Magic phase. Magic was pretty much a wash for my opponent. He didn't really get all of his spells off. He managed to spell all of his spells, so that part was kind of nice. Since he doesn't have any shooting, go directly into the combat phase. As you can see in this picture, his chariot didn't do so well when it came to the close combat phase at all. Managed to only kill 3 of my guys at the same time. And I only inflicted 1 wound back onto the chariot. Technically speaking, he did win combat, but because my guys are stubborn with the Crown of Command, all of his combat res didn't really count for anything because I roll on modified leadership, and my guys stuck it out. I also rolled a combat reform, and I got that done successfully. Actually, I failed the first time, but then because I got rerolls because of my Battle Standard Bearer, I managed to get that second one off. So basically, those guys do 180 and now face that Chaos Chair and bring the full pain down on my opponent. I got really, really lucky on that part. It could have been a lot more disastrous. A lot more guys could have died on that part, but stubborn counts, and stubborn really saved me on this one. So that was kind of nice. And that takes us to the top of turn number 4 after move for the Dark Elves. Unfortunately I forgot to show the combat. Forgot to think of the combat at the top between Virzil the Broken as well as those Warriors of Chaos. That combat basically ended up being a stalemate in the end. I managed to kill about half of that unit of Chaos Warriors with Virzil the Broken between his Fiery Roar as well as his Thunder Stomps and his regular attacks. So that part was kind of nice. However, my opponent's Chaos Lord managed to beat down about 4 wounds onto Virzil the Broken as well and was killing that guy, which is kind of rough. However, because of his regenerative abilities for the War Hydra, he basically healed all of his wounds that he lost at the end of that combat, so that part was kind of nice as well. So those guys got stuck in the stalemate. Now, for the top of turn number 4 after movement, because I forgot to take that photo in the last phase, you can see here Kalibos, the Manticore, charges to the flank of those Chaos Warriors to kind of deal with those guys as well, so that way they got a nice little pincer attack to take them out and envelop them. And same thing there on the bottom of the page, as you can see there. I charged in my Shacklemore Sears into the flank of that Chaos Chariot as well, so that way he's also in envelopment as well. So that part was kind of nice. Both those units are now dealing with combats on 2 different fronts. We're going to roll these guys down and basically finish them off. So that's with movement as well as the combat phase from the previous turn on this one. Here's a close-up of my Seastone Stars as well as my Shacklemore Series dealing with this last sign of the Sylph there. As you can see that they're basically flanked as well as dealing with combat in the front. So that part's kind of nice. And as you see here as well, here's a picture, a close-up of my Manticore as well as my War Hydra, kind of getting that unit of Chaos Warriors in a pincer attack as well. So kind of interesting to see how that combat kind of turns out because the Chaos Lord is located in that unit. As I said before, that unit basically got cut in half by Virzil the Broken. So kudos to my War Hydra on that part. So with moving over, we go directly to the Magic phase. Unfortunately for me, the only spell I managed to get off was a Power of Darkness spell during Magic phase. My opponent was able to dispel pretty much everything else on that part, so that part was kind of sad. However, because that would go directly to the shooting phase. In the shooting phase, however, my Reaper Bolter opened with multiple shots onto that unit of Chaos Knights. Managed to kill 2 of those guys, so that part was kind of nice. Causing the panic check, and those Chaos Knights fled right through that forest and on their way out. So that part was kind of nice as well. So between you and me, we both know now that Chaos Knight unit is now totally invalid in this fight. It's basically regulatory obsolete on that part, so that part was kind of cool. In the combat phase, it got pretty brutal in this part of the combat as well. That sign itself didn't manage. I managed to kill, I think, 2 more of my Dread Spears. So that part was kind of sad on that part. However, the real winners of this battle were actually my Doomfire Warlocks with their poisonous attacks. Managed to put 2 more wounds into that chariot as well. The chariot lost combat, was forced to break and to flee away from my Doomfire Warlocks. My Warlocks basically pursued, overran, and destroyed it. As you can see, there's basically they kind of laid out this part right here. Combat reformed my Dread Spears to deal with the Chaos Warriors up there in the front, and my Doomfire Warlocks are kind of out of position a little bit for overrunning, but not too much to worry about that part because they destroyed that Chaos Chariot, which is pretty nice. And then combat over here was absolutely brutal in this combat. Between my Manicore and my War Hydra, we managed to kill the rest of those Chaos Warriors. That part was kind of nice. However, that general though, the Chaos Lord Egrin Van Horseman with his loadout, managed to kill my Manticore, finish that guy off as well, direct all of his attacks against him, and now basically it's just that Manticore, just my War Hydra, as well as that general, the only thing that was left standing from that combat. So that was absolutely brutal in that part. That general is no joke, especially with all the saves he gets with his 1-up save for his for his armor, plus his 3-up for his ward save, not to be trifled with. That part was kind of rough on that part. So yeah, that pretty much finishes up the combat phase on this one. However, for my opponent's turn, however, the only thing he has left are 2 units. He has 2 Chaos Knights and his general. Everything else, his army is pretty much dead. At that point, my opponent just kind of surrenders and just kind of like gives up the game at that point because all he has left are 3 models on the entire battlefield. So yeah, ends up being a victory for yours truly, which is pretty awesome on that part. So you can see there are a lot of Dark Elves still left on the field. Lost a lot of things I wasn't comfortable with, but we'll talk about that during the after action reports. So yeah, this battle report is now over.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
All right, now it's time for the after action report. This is part of the battle report. We talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. So this is the after action report for Warhammer the Golden Age. Battle report number 22 was fought between myself, Commander CheapSkate, with my Golden Reapers of Skyros, my Dark Elf army, versus my buddy O'Death of the Esoteric Order of the Thousand Suns with his Chaos Warriors of Tzeentch army. Ended up being a victory for yours truly, which is pretty awesome in that part. So now let's talk about the things that we lost. For my Dark Elves, I lost my General Wakarth of Karan Kar. I lost that guy. He basically died off as well. Lost my Manticore Calibos, as well as my Charybdis Wrathwreck the Maw. I also lost 1 Ruin Reaper Bolt Thrower, as well as my 10 Dark Shards the Morning Dawn. So that part was kind of rough. Most losses I ever took with his army so far, so that was kind of rough. For the Warriors of Chaos, they lost Bodros, which is his Chaos Dragon, Kavan the Weakest, which is his Chaos Sorcerer Lord. He also lost his Storm Lord, which is 19 Chaos Warriors, the Scions of Sylph, which are 2 Chaos Chariots, as well as the Gestalt of Power, which is his Gore Beast Chariot as well. First of all, I underestimated the power of Chaos Warriors and Tzeentch. I mean, just the ward saves, the magic, and their high strength just makes them an enemy that's very, very deadly. And I wasn't prepared for it. I forgot how deadly Warriors of Chaos can be, especially when you line it with Tzeentch on that part. So I lost a lot more than I was comfortable with. Lost a lot of guys that I usually don't lose in my armies, and got to figure out a way to kind of like solve that problem. Magic was also very, very powerful in this army as well. Both sides of this was actually very, very powerful. I was very impressive. This is like the most magic spells I've ever seen gone off in a battle report before for Warhammer. Just the amount of spells that both sides were casting was just amazing. Just because like you also get like additional power dice for my opponent. He got additional power dice for every 6 they roll for casting of spells, and I also got really good bonuses for +1 for casting spells as well because of my racial ability for Akarth's Blessing. So a lot of magic going back and forth is pretty awesome in that part as well. One of the things I did underestimate, however, was the power of a Gore Beast Chariot. That thing is monstrous with its toughness of 5 and the amount of damage I think it put out. I just forgot how powerful that thing was and how much of a tough nut or crack it was as well. Same thing with Invincible Tzeentch Lords, the Hortense builds where they have like the 1-up armor save and the 3-up ward saves. Those guys are very, very hard to beat. I gotta figure out a way to deal with those guys on another basis somehow. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it, but if I ever run into another Tzeentchian list, I gotta figure out how to deal with that problem as well. And all these things I've been kind of reflecting on, I've been thinking about restructuring my list, maybe redoing it a little bit, distributing points, not concentrating so much into monsters. I'm still kind of thinking about it. I do like the idea of having these huge monsters being driven by a Beastmaster to kind of help outflank my opponent because of the number of monsters I have in this army for 2,000 points. Kind of like it seems like a cool idea. But at the same time, though, my army is very points heavy, is very concentrated in points. So if you kill 2 or 3 of my things, a lot of points are being thrown down the drain because of that, because of the monsters and everything else like that as well. So think about restructuring it up, maybe distributing the points a little bit better. I don't know. I'm on the fence on it. I'll still gotta think about it anymore on that part. So yeah, that pretty much rounds up for this one. Got a great battle, very, very vicious on both sides. Got very, very intense. All the back and forth of destruction that was going on for my opponents. So I'm looking forward to a rematch with my buddy O'Death once again. So that pretty much rounds up for this one. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, put in your input. It's only making these battle reports better. And yeah, just keep on waiting for the next one, you guys. So this is going to do it for this one. This is battle report number 22 is now officially in the books, and this is the end for Throwback Thursday. So thanks again for watching, you guys. I'll see you guys on the flip side. We'll see you on Sunday for our next battle report.